Hi folks, this is Christian Basil from Mark-Who42, and we want to thank you for listening, and to ensure that we continue to bring the latest news, reviews, and interviews every single week here on Krypton Radio and on our website, www.mark-who42.net. Please go now to GoFundMe and offer a one-time contribution to our show. Also, if you'd like, you can go to patreon.com and contribute there as well. Go to www.mark-who42.net and hit the donate button on the far right-hand side. Contribute whatever you can give us so that we can bring you this show. Thank you again for everybody who contributes, and thank you for listening.
Hello, my name is Peter Guinness, and you are listening to Mark-Who42.
Welcome, foolish mortals, to the Halloween episode of Mark-Who42. I am your host, Eduardo M. Fryer. And with me today, since as we record this, Mark and Christian are at Time Lord Fest, I have the ever-lovely
Trish and Ed.
And returning to help with co-hosting duties, the ever-awesome...
Your nightmare and doom. Oh, it's just me, Iggy Matthews. How's it going?
Wait, the two are not one and the same?
Okay, listen, I would explain that, but that would be revealing too much. I would have to kill you. You would know too much.
It's happened to me before.
Oh, you've died before. Are you the doctor?
No.
The man who died.
Are you the man who died instead of the woman who lived?
Oh, there you go.
Yes, over and over.
The next thing we're going to run into is our review of The Woman Who Lived.
Dun, dun, dun.
Part 2 of the two-parter featuring Maisie Williams from Game of Thrones. Now, starting things off, I love the episode. I thought it was a great follow-up to last week. And this is not a critique, this is more of an observation. It doesn't feel to me like part 2 of something. It feels more like a standalone episode that's a sequel to another standalone episode. Trish, what do you think?
I agree. I mean, it didn't have to come right after. It could have come a couple down the road or even next season. I mean, it's not really a two-parter. Yes, it has to do with the same, character, but the stories itself are not totally connected. But it was a good episode. And one of the main reasons I really liked this episode was that it was Clara Light. She was gone. She didn't show up until the very end of the episode. Apparently she was taking some students to Taekwondo lessons, which I hope they beat the crap out of her.
Yeah, I think the doctor...
Was that wrong?
The doctor said, probably slightly wrong. If it had come out of my mouth, it would have been extremely wrong. It would have kind of gone into an unhappy place, and I don't like unhappy places. I had actually read off Doctor Who TV that it was going to be Companion Light, and I thought that was a very pleasant surprise. We were told that it was going to be episode 10 that was going to be the Doctor on his own. So to see this, it was like, whoa, wait a minute. Hello. And, for all the ragging we do on Clara, one of the big reasons has always been that the 12th Doctor has not had a chance to really be by himself, to really, Capaldi hasn't had a chance to play without having to play off of Clara, and we finally got our wish. And it was interesting seeing the Doctor alone like that, without Clara kind of on his shoulder. Are you going to do this? Are you going to do this? Are you going to do this? Maybe you should do this. Doctor, you should do this. Doctor, it's great to have him think for himself. What do you ladies think?
Well, honestly, since you bring that up, what it has felt like more to me is that Clara is the Doctor and, Peter Capaldi is just the companion, the grumpy, rude companion. That's what it's been feeling like. One of the things that I mentioned was that I'm, for the most part, up to date with Doctor Who. However, I still stand by the fact that the Fisher King two-parter episode was the only one that actually legitimately felt like a Doctor Who episode, where he just shows up. Because the TARDIS, why did you bring me here? What's going on? Random people. Okay, let's try and figure out what's going on. It felt like an actual Doctor Who episode. And now we're going into okay, let's reach in our back pocket and throw something out here. That's pretty cool. But I still stand by the fact that there's a lot of scenes going on within each episode, each and every single one of them, that would have been cool. They're still cool. They're awesome had I not been on Doctor Who. Like the glasses. I think glasses are cool. I think the guitar is cool. I think it's awesome. But it would be even better if it wasn't on this show as the Doctor. Maybe a companion doing that, or maybe somebody else doing that. Cool, but not the Doctor. Just doesn't feel right.
Interesting. That does bring up something from the episode. The fact that last week we saw the Vikings snap the Sonic sunglasses in half. It had looked like that was the end of the Sonic sunglasses. But no,
Joy.
He has to bring the sunglasses back. He has to have them show up. And I don't know what is worse, the fact that the Sonic sunglasses returned, or the fact that they returned with no explanation. It's just, hey, look, the sunglasses are back. To which, of course, my response is, yay. Oh,
Okay, I will speak from experience. I had a pair of Ray-Bans. Notice I said had. I still have a pair of Ray-Bans because those little MFs are expensive. You want to have a second pair, okay? Because Lord forbid something happens to the other one, you're going to cry. All that money wasted, okay? So it's a backup pair, man. I mean, did you really think that you have wearable technology and it's not going to break at one point? You got to have a backup plan.
Iggy, you do bring up a good point, but on the other hand, why not just have the backup be, look, I've got a new screwdriver. Ugh.
Well, I think it's leading to that. You notice that the TARDIS, it's almost like she's detaching, like they are drifting in as a relationship. The Doctor and the TARDIS, they're drifting. And the Doctor can see that because he's taken the time to speak to her. And it wasn't just because of the Fisher King episode. He's been knowing something's going on with her. But he's been putting more stock on Clara and more stock on everything else. And you know what? The TARDIS freaking noticed. So I think it's only a matter of time before the TARDIS just finally slams on the brakes and goes, no.
So we got a jelly TARDIS.
And then what? I think we have a neglected, mistreated TARDIS.
Ooh.
I think that's what it is.
Are they going to have to go to couples therapy?
I think Clara might be the one to make us like her a little bit more because, I mean, think about it. The TARDIS was present when she was throwing away all the keys. You don't think that she's a little bit developed her own opinion about Clara as well? The fact that, she keeps being neglected for Clara. She keeps being neglected because the Doctor wants to do this and the Doctor wants to do that. I think it's going to be either Clara or Missy or both. They're going to be like, listen, she's pissed at you. You might want to talk to her and do something because she's not going to go anywhere now.
Yeah, now the picture in my head is the TARDIS kind of like on its side on a couch, and there's a shrink there with a notepad. So tell me, how do you feel? Do you think the Doctor is emotionally cheating on you with this Clara? The cloister bell sounds off, and it's like... I see. But no, have you ever tried talking to him? No. When we mean talk to him, do so without throwing him into chaos in the time vortex. Have you tried that? Tried just pulling him aside for a moment, maybe finding a barren planetoid to kind of just talk things out. No stress.
You know what? I think the TARDIS did that, but unfortunately Davros was there, so the Doctor got distracted yet again.
Hey, that's a possibility. But drawing away from the Doctor's most constant companion to the companion for this episode, the return of Maisie Williams as Isildur, or as she calls herself in this episode, me. I have to admit, in the first part, the girl who died, it was fun seeing Maisie Williams, but it felt a little bit like Arya in Viking times. But in this episode, she really got a chance to stretch her acting legs, and it was really impressive. Trish, what do you think of her performance this week?
It was better than last week's. She thinks that, that the Doctor's come to take her with him, and she's been around for 800 years, and she is tired. She's tired of living the life. She can't remember most of her past life because she only has a human brain. She has like a regular sized memory, and as we know, we have a hard time remembering things after so long. And so for her, she has written down her life in all these journals, and she goes back and she reads them, and sometimes she remembers stuff, sometimes she doesn't. When the Doctor called her a Shilder, she didn't even recognize the name at first. So she's very different from the girl we met in the last episode. She's not happy, and you can tell that she's just tired.
You bring up an interesting point, Trish. The fact that Isildur, or me, or the Nightmare, or whatever name you want to use, that, yeah, she has a human brain. She has, her psyche is tuned in to just a limited existence. And there was, of course, with an episode about an immortal or someone trying to be immortal, they did bring up Captain Jack Harkness. It's interesting to do like a compare and contrast because Jack seems to be okay with the idea of being an immortal. You know, he seems to have accepted it. And Isildur, like you said, she's just tired. She's tired of life. She's tired of just being surrounded by the limited span of what used to be her existence.
Well, I mean, if we look, Captain Jack Harkness, he also went through the same thing. If you've ever watched Torchwood, they go into a little bit more detail as to his life, sporadically, of course. And there was a time where he just wanted to die. He just wanted to die. He keeps making connections with people, and he outlives them. He just watches them die, and even as much as he tries, he cannot. So there was a point that he was absolutely miserable. But what he ended up doing instead is seeking. You know, here's me accepting the fact that this is going to be my life forever and eternity, which eventually led him to the doctor. So they do have knowledge of each other, a very distant connection, but when the doctor does come around, Jack Harkness is, hey, oh my God, hey, how you doing? You know, so he's very happy to see somebody who's also, in a way, a lot like him, in a way. So I think, you know, also is the fact that we're ultimately still dealing with a child. Jack Harkness went through this when he was already a man. Young one, but still, he was a man, okay? She's a child, so exactly how do you teach a child adult problems, which I think it's ultimately where the lesson is, because every episode of Doctor Who, I felt that actually has an underlying message, a lesson, you know. And how do you teach a child adult problems? How do you teach a child to accept immortality, to understand what that all is, to understand that the reason why you can't, you know, remember things, or why, in a sense, you know, as a child, she would feel like, okay, well, I guess I can do whatever I want because there's not going to be any sort of repercussions for it. That's a child's dream. I can do whatever I want, and they can't do anything to me. Amazing.
That is where we ended up.
Unfortunately for her, you know, she's had to deal with figuring out how to live an immortal life all on her own. She hasn't had anybody to guide her or help her. Mm-hmm. As the doctor reads through her diaries, he gets to know what her life was like, and a lot of it's very sad. You know, it's her talking about, you know, falling in love and then having to leave when people started to notice that she wasn't getting any older. And then she comes back to the people that she loves, and he's an old man now, ready to die, and thinks that she's a ghost. And it also talks about her having children and how the Black Plague killed her children and made her vow not to have any more kids.
Yeah. Yesterday, as Trish and I were watching, one of the things that we brought up is she still has that other medical patch, and throughout the episode, she hasn't used it. And we were talking, it's like, wait, if she had these kids, if she loved them, why didn't she use it? And then as that question came out of our mouths, we then realized, oh, if she did, these kids would be stuck as like 5 years old or 7 years old or 2 years old forever. They'd be locked in that. And do you really want to do that to a person? I mean, we just hit the nail right on the head. The fact that she was a child. She was on the edge of womanhood when she gained her immortality, but still had growing up to do. So imagine if it had been somebody a lot younger that had experienced a transition into immortality. I mean, would she really have been doing her children a favor?
Right, because ultimately, even though, yes, it was a blessing at first, I don't think she necessarily considers that as a blessing. She considers that more of a curse. And as somebody that she cares about so much, she's not going to want to do them that way. And it's that unfortunate of like, do I want to put you in a purgatory, an eternal purgatory with not much gratification of anything, and you're stuck. You can't grow. You don't get the pleasure of growing and living and attaining new things because of those children that if she would have done that to one of her child, I mean, that daughter or son would have never grown to have a family, would have never known what that's like. It's like robbing them of their right to live. It makes sense, but I think that inevitably, I can't help but to put myself in that situation sometimes and go, well, what would I have done? And I think ultimately what her plan is to have her child grow to a certain age and then pass it over. Like, here, at least stay at this point with me.
We find out in the episode that the whole time when she first meets the doctor, she's like, you're going to take me with you. Are you taking me with you? you. And the doctor's like, kind of being evasive and everything, and finally says, that, no, I'm not, and she wants to know why. And he says, because it wouldn't be good, which I thought that was kind of an odd answer. But we find out that she's actually has this creature that she's working with, Leandro. He's the one we saw in the trailers. He's the one that looks like a beast from Beauty and the Beast, and he kind of breathes fire. And he's after what the doctor's after, because the doctor's there to try to find some kind of alien artifact that shouldn't be on Earth, that he's tracked. And Leandro wants the same thing, and he's got a Schilder to help him find it. He's told her that he's from the planet Delta Leonis, and that he crashed to Earth after his planet was attacked, and that he lost everybody, that he's the last one of his race. And the amulet is supposed to open a portal to another dimension, and Maisie Williams' character, she sees this as a chance for her to escape to someplace new. The only problem is, though, in order to open this thing, it only opens with a sacrifice, with a death. Someone has to die.
The character of Leandro, I gotta admit, as the big bad for the episode, not that effective, not that memorable. Yeah, cool look and the breathe fire part, but it feels like really we're not here. We're not watching this episode for him. We're watching it for Isildur, for me. We're watching it for her. We're watching it to see her grow in a way that she hasn't in the 800 years she's been immortal. Which again is not to say he was a bad character. It's just for the time he was on, he didn't have a huge impact. And I get the idea that he kind of filled a function. He was there to help move the story along and to serve her story.
Well, every villain was at some point a good guy, and that's how I view it. But every villain at one point lost it all and needed something, and desperation comes in, and that's ultimately what makes you a bad guy. Because if you go into a mindset of, well, the ends justify the means, well, then everybody's kind of looking at you like, okay, what are you doing? Because we don't know what you're ultimately trying to do. We just see what you're doing right now.
You actually bring up a good point, Iggy, because while Leandro's motives turn out to be a fake out, and he does get to do that villain hand-wringing thing and go, I tricked you, little girl, I'm actually helping prepare an invasion, ha 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 ha, you're all going to die. There was that one tiny moment at the end of the episode when the doctor and Isildur used that medical patch to save Sam Swift, the token sacrifice, and the portal's closing. Leandro does do that little bit where he's like, don't do this, I'm going to die. They are going to kill me. And the last thing he says before he gets disintegrated is, brothers, forgive me. So there is that little bit of, yeah, he was a bad guy, yeah, he was preparing the invasion, but there was that motive of, I gotta do this or they are going to kill me.
Yeah.
There is that kind of motive where, okay, maybe he wasn't all that evil, but there's still kind of the selfish motive in the fact that, well, gee, let's see. I could either not get killed by my own people, but for that, I'm going to have to conquer these people, enslave them, and destroy the planet. Or, I could just get killed. Yeah, I think I'm going to go with the enslavement.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and Maisie Williams, I realized on the second viewing that, she kept harping on the doctor, kept reminding him about how he loses his companions, because they're mortal, and that how if he took her with him, that wouldn't be a problem. And I realized that she was really, really hoping that the doctor would take her so she wouldn't have to go along with Leandro's plan. And then when she realized the doctor, when he said that wouldn't be good, she realized that, basically he was saying, no, I'm not going to take you. There's no chance. And so when she realized there was no chance of him taking her with him, she thought that her only chance of escape was to go along with Leandro. And not that she truly wanted to, but she just saw that as her only means of escape.
Yeah.
And fortunately, at the end, when the portal gets open and the invasion starts, she realizes that she still has a heart and she still does care about people. And basically, it kind of fixes her. It brings her back to being human. And she's willing to give up that chance of having another person be immortal with her to save all those people. To save the planet, basically. She also comes to realize that she doesn't want to make someone else immortal. She doesn't want to put someone else through what she's been going through.
Now, you think that she did end up using the medical patch on Sam Swift, and they kind of leave it open as to whether or not is he now truly immortal, or did the medical patch simply shut down the amulet and close the portal, and he's still going to be able to have a mortal life?
Yeah, the doctor, he said he didn't know. He said just watch him.
Yeah.
He'll find out.
I mean, Sam Swift, he did seem, especially when he was on the gallows, he did seem to have this joy of life, even as it's seems like it's going to be right at the end. The question here is, okay, if Sam Swift does have immortality now, is he going to be like Captain Jack and just have a joy of life? Or is he going to go the Isildur route where it starts out all fun and games, and then he's just going to get so tired of it and wondering, is there ever going to be an end?
He's going to go through what everybody else went through. This is great. This is, wait a minute, this doesn't stop. Wait a minute, this sucks. I'm angry. Now I'm on the verge of being a villain. And then somebody comes around, shows you the way, and you go, oh, okay, maybe I can be a good person. But the thing is that I can understand why the doctor says that would not be a good idea to have you around, because think about it, you have this child. How many times are you going to have to remind this person to be a good person? She's immortal. Her memory is limited, so it's only a few more hundred years before she forgets that all of this even happened.
And see, that's also what the doctor said too, is that he needs a human companion, or, someone that has a finite life, so that they can remind him to be a good person, because
exactly.
He gets the same way.
Yeah, because what's going to happen is they're going to enable each other. She's a child. She's a child mentality. When we all know that the doctor is almost childlike at heart. Okay, so the thing is what's going to happen is that, she's going to be very similar to Missy. Ends justify the means. What's going to happen to us? Why don't you just push the destruction button and the problem's resolved? Here, I'll do it if you won't.
Or if you're an immortal, a la the Doctor and Captain Jack, where you have that automatic healing part, there's going to be just a certain recklessness that goes with it. Like if you're Captain Jack, you could walk into a ship full of Daleks and go, yeah, I know how I'm going to stop you. And then it turns out, you got the suicide vest and you press the button. I mean, you do that enough times and I don't know, the results would just not be pretty. Not so much like visually, but to a person's psyche.
Oh, absolutely.
I'm immortal. I'm invincible. I'll heal from this. What can you do to me?
Mm-hmm. And my concern is that is a perfect companion. Her mentality, her spirit, her way of dealing with things, that is a perfect companion for Missy. And that's my concern. What if that were to happen? What if, because we know that Maisie's supposed to return somewhere throughout the season.
From what we saw leading up to the season, what was really pumped on was the fact that we would have 2 episodes with Maisie Williams as this character. That was just drilled into our heads. We were made excited for this. Remember that one scene they had in the trailer, that "What took you so long, old man?" The one that had people running to the internet to just toss out theories of, oh my God, it's Susan. Oh my God, it's Jenny. Oh my God, it's, just typing away and being like, what if it's her? What if it's this? The doctor said, it's somebody important. They really haven't said a lot about Maisie returning. It's been more of, well, gee, I hope I come back. Then again, the way the episode ended with her showing up in the background of that picture with Clara, I would not be surprised if she shows up by the end of the season. I wouldn't be surprised if in the final 2-parter.
Eddie?
Yeah?
I got some news.
That's not the cloister bell you're hearing. That's the spoiler alarm. Whoa, why are we hearing the spoiler alarm? Trish, what's going on?
Well, this weekend there was a Comic-Con. There was London Comic-Con. And Sarah Dollard was there. She's a writer for Doctor Who. And she confirmed that Maisie Williams will be back in the 10th episode of this season, Face the Raven.
Whoa. You heard it here, folks. You heard it here. A Mark Who 42. A Mark Who 42 special report. Whoa.
Now that's the episode that's also rumored that Claire is going to die or leave or whatever.
Yay!
So, yeah.
Man, that sounds so bad.
Whoa.
No.
Whoa, does this mean that Isildur has something to do with Clara leaving? Is she the Raven?
Ooh. Okay, let's not do this again because last time we did this, we were dead wrong. Okay?
That's the nature. This is the nature of the internet. I will say this, though. When the doctor was going through her stuff, her little keepsakes and knickknacks from her immortality time, he did bring out one of those masks from the Black Plague, one of those masks with the long beak. Maybe we're wrong. Maybe we're not.
I came up with something, and I kind of want to share it with the Mark Who 42 audience. See if this will start some sort of blogging
You know what? Go for it. Go for it. Lay it on us.
But I challenge the fans to either, build it up some more or completely pull it apart to pieces, which is great. I love seeing that because my theory, from a conspiracy sort of point, is that we have the doctor based on all these college degrees, right? You have the doctor, which is your doctor's degree. You have your master, okay? And I think the companion would be the bachelor. We haven't had anybody who's married, have we? Companion-wise?
Well, the pawns.
They got married afterwards. They weren't originally when he found Amy. That happened afterwards. That wasn't originally how it was.
Okay.
And, well, that didn't work out too well. Now did it? Out. Okay. And it seems that as soon as there is a romantic entanglement with the companion, it starts to fizzle out. It starts to go down. What happened to all of them? Think about it. And I think that the companion would be the bachelor. And whoever Missy would have, she would never call it a companion. She wouldn't be that emotionally tied. That would be her associate. One that's there to do her bidding. I tell you to jump, you do it. And then you come back and tell me what happened. Okay, that's great. Everybody died. Awesome. Let's do that again. Okay, so that's the way I'm seeing it. So when is Misty going to come around and be like, you remember her? Yeah, she's my associate. Yeah, so I like the little companion thing that you have. I just think that companion is I don't like that word, So I'm looking at all these like fundamentals and degree. And then, when I got to thinking too much, I was like, okay, so the doctor's the one with the bachelor. And the master, or Missy, is the one with the associate.
Interesting theory. And, well, I mean, he left a seal deer in the Middle Ages or so. And next time we see a sight of her, it's modern day. Could it be she fell off the wagon again?
Well, remember what she said to him when they decided that, it would be bad for them to travel together? That the doctor should protect the planet, but she's going to protect the planet from him. And he asked again who told her that he runs. And she said, take your pick, which to me implies that she's met a lot of people that the doctor has interacted with, lives that he's touched. And the one thing they all say the same is that he leaves. He comes and he goes.
Yep.
So
he has to.
Exactly, he has to. But it does affect people's lives. And so she's basically implying, I'm guessing this is what she's implying, that she's going to be the one to help people pick up the pieces and make sense of what happened.
There was a reference, just like the last episode had reversed the polarity of the neutron flow, there was a reference to the classic series this time around, in that the Doctor mentions the Great London Fire, and then when Isildur's like, ooh, do I cause it? The Doctor goes, no, that was the Terreptals. He was referencing the Fifth Doctor story, The Visitation, where we did see that. We did see the Doctor against an alien force, and it ended with the Great London Fire. One thing I'm curious about is there was a guest character, an actor / highwayman. We have the highwayman motif again. A gentleman named Richard Mace. Kind of makes me wonder, when the Great London Fire finally did happen, did Isildur track Mace down? Did they run into each other? Did they compare notes?
Well, see, and that's ultimately the part that bothers me, is why are you going to immortalize a character when you know that this actor is not really going to be doing too much? Maybe this season. Maybe that's what it is. Maybe this season it's just an introduction, kind of getting your feet warmed up a little bit. And then when the next season comes around, then really the crap hits the fan and you're like, oh my God, what? How many connections do we have here exactly? So I'm still just going to be silently observing and kind of accumulating notes, because I don't know, immortality, that's a big deal. That's a big deal in this show.
Yeah, especially with everything that we have so far. It kind of makes me wonder, is this almost like when they had Clara splinter herself? Are we going to start seeing these hints of Isildur having been around in different Doctor Who events? We just didn't notice her. Oh, look, here's the time Unit disappeared because Omega took it. Oh, look who's looking at the space where Unit headquarters used to be. Is that Isildur? Oh, look at the time the Doctor and Romana were running around Paris in City of Death. Oh, is that Isildur shadowing him in the museum? Are we gonna have these little moments?
Here's the thing, though. One of my friends pointed out. He said just because somebody appears in the show does not necessarily mean that they're going to write it down or put it into the credits that this person was there, because they technically did not act or play a legitimate recording part. If it's just a memory, if it's just a flashback, if it's just peering through the window of time, then they're not going to show up on that roster. That's something that they have already previously filmed, and it's just there. So this could just be another elaborate trick where, we're actually going to see more of Maisie and things that she's done in forms of flashback, like here's her connection to this, without her actually being on the roster.
Interesting thought, and a great thought to leave on, because we're going to have to go to commercial, but when we come back, we have a special Halloween treat for everybody. Iggy and I are going to be sitting down with Christian Bale to talk to actor Peter Guinness, who has done
So excited!
He does have some stuff on his resume that very appropriately fits the holiday. So, when we come back, you'll be hearing that. It's going to be really exciting.
The voice of Christian Bale, take one.
Hi, I'm Christian Bale, and I would like to provide my voice for all your voiceover needs, such as...
Okay, like an announcer.
Like a what?
Like an announcer.
For all your voiceover needs, such as animation, radio, announcements, introductions...
Now an old man.
I can even record voicemail for all the Meshuggahs that call you.
A pirate.
Arr, and it won't cost you a lot of treasure for me services. Arr.
Creepy movie voice.
Just call 407-761-2679. 407-761-2679. Or email voiceofchristianbale@yahoo.com. Well, how was that?
That's a wrap.
Remote Control is the new TV podcast from the Geekcast Radio Network. We'll be covering TV shows and topics from the year 2000 to whenever now is. We'll have special themed episodes entitled Pilot and Season Premieres, as well as finishing finales. We'll also have Season Pass episodes, where we take a look at an entire season of a TV show. Remote Control can be found on iTunes, Stitcher, and www.geekcastradio.com. So tune in, because we are all remote controlled.
Attention all Whovians! While you're waiting for the new episode of Doctor Who, start your own adventures with a book from Mark 42 Books. They carry unique and rare books at affordable prices. Visit amazon.com/shops/Mark42. That's amazon.com/shops/Mark42. Mark 42 Books. Set your imagination free into the Whoniverse.
Grayskull, I command the jaw bridge. Open!
The Powers of Grayskull series will cover every episode of all 4 Masters of the Universe cartoons. Join Optimus Solo and myself, TFG and Mike, as we tell tales of Eternia, discover the myths of Etheria, become Masters in Space, and finally Masters of Grayskull. We'll have a commentary on the Secret of the Sword film, and a few other special episodes. You can find this 125-episode-long podcast in iTunes and on the web at geekcastradio.com. By the power and honor of Grayskull, we all have the power.
Yeah, I hope I didn't miss anything exciting.
Hi, folks. This is Christian Bale, Mark 42, and if you've been lucky enough to catch us at conventions and wondered how you could hire us to come to your convention or special event, simply go to Heroes on Hand, click the podcast icon, and click the icon for Mark 42. On our page on Heroes on Hand, you can actually click the button that says click here to book Mark 42 for your next event, and that's all you have to do. Once again, if you wanted to hire us for your next event, simply go to heroesonhand.com, click on podcast, click on our icon, and click the green button to book us for your next event. You're going to love us. We'll see you there.
Hello, my name is Sarah Louise Madison, and I play one of the Weeping Angels on Doctor Who, and welcome back to the Halloween episode of Mark 42.
Self-destruct sequence activated.
Welcome back to Mark 42. Okay, I can't do that. I really cannot do that as well. But I know somebody who can. Today on our Halloween episode, we have our very special guest, Peter Guinness.
Hello, everybody. Hello, everybody in Florida. Hello, everybody in the world.
Aw, that's great. And with me, with Peter, are Iggy Matthews from Let's Be Reelz. Iggy?
Well, I was trying to come out of the void. There's a lot of spooky things going on. I wasn't sure.
Stuck in it there. And, of course, Mr. Eduardo M. Fryer, my co-host and friend over there in Reno. Peter, welcome to the show. Welcome to our Halloween episode. Do you guys I haven't been to England, and I know Halloween is not big in England, or is it? I'm not familiar.
It's growing.
It's growing. Okay.
Yeah, once upon a time, pumpkins were scarce on the ground. But now, come Halloween, you can't sort of step outside of your front door without tripping over one.
Oh, my God.
So yes, we've imported it from you, and Halloween is growing every year. Even as I speak, there are shops filled with lollipops and witches' hats and bad teeth and pumpkins. They're everywhere.
Well, you guys are just starting to get pumpkins. Here in Florida, we shoot them out of cannons or drop them on automobiles and such like that. Peter, for those of our fans who may not be familiar with your work, could you please tell us a little bit about yourself?
Well, I'm an actor and have been for quite a long time now. I can no longer claim to be, a newcomer, even though I like to try and pretend that I am. But I've been around now for a long time. I've done lots of different work, both on screen, big and little, and in the theatre. In fact, as I talk to you now, I'm sitting in my dressing room in the Royal Exchange Theatre in Manchester, England, about to get ready to go on in Arthur Miller's The Crucible, which, as many of you will know, is all about witches. So, that quite ties in with Halloween, I guess, although it was an unhappy time in American history, I think. But a great play.
So, are we burning or hanging these witches? I'm just curious.
These witches will hang. These are Dan Forth, the character that I play.
God, freaking witches always hanging around. God.
They're always
No, Iggy. He means hanging as in noose.
Oh, well, that's much less fun. Okay.
Different kind of hanging. Not the type of necktie party. Not the type of necktie party you want to be at.
And here I thought he was going to be a bouncer, like, all right, everybody, get out.
No, sadly not.
I don't know if that character is in The Crucible like that there. Now, my first introduction to you, Peter, was The Holy Terror. I consider that one of my favorite, if not the favorite, written by Rob Sherman, The Holy Terror and such. And when I first heard your voice as the evil brother, the story just kept getting better and better and better. And how did you even come across the Big Finish story?
Well, Barnaby Edwards, who does a lot of work with Big Finish, he and I are great friends. We met through other friends on a holiday, and I think Barney quite liked the sound of my voice as well. And he was going to be doing some of these Doctor Who audios, and he thought Guinness might be quite good for a couple of these parts. And we've gone on from there. I've done several things with Big Finish now, including The Holy Terror, a couple of other things that escape me for the moment, but Phantom of the Opera as well.
Oh, my God.
So, again, the evil genius. I don't know why. I simply don't know why.
Did you have to sing for that one, or?
No, fortunately, I didn't have to sing.
That's unfortunate that you couldn't sing for me, my angel. Oh.
Well, I could sing for you if you want me to. But,
my.
So I've loved working for Big Finish, and the Doctor Who audios are always, of course, huge fun to do. And I've been very lucky to work with both Colin Baker and David Tennant, and a little bit with Tom as well. So, it's been...
Gosh, that is fascinating. Me personally, I know you as Lord Crane from Sleepy Hollow.
Oh, Lord Crane, Sleepy Hollow.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
That's where, as soon as I heard the name, I went straight to Sleepy Hollow. And I remember seeing a YouTube video about you with a coffee mug and going, and just listening to the voice and just going, gosh, he just sounds like the scariest thing. But look at him, though.
I have to tell you that 3 weeks working with Tim Burton was one of the most fun times of my entire career. When we met and talked about Lord Crane, Tim had no idea what those scenes were going to be. It was all a jumble in his head. And I would turn up on the day and get into my frock and my wig, and we would arrive on set, and then we would start playing. And that really is exactly what it was. For 3 weeks, we just played with ideas, and we shot them, and he discarded them, and then he'd do something else, and then he'd have another bright idea. My favorite moment, because as you can imagine, a lot ended up not in the movie, but a favorite moment of mine that was in the movie was there's a shot where Lord Crane peers in through a window looking down at the sleeping Johnny Depp, and it's raining. But if you look very carefully, you will see that it's not actually raining on Lord Crane. And the reason it's not raining on Lord Crane is that I was standing on a box, and Tim Burton was standing on another box, right behind me with a very small umbrella above my head, so that the rain fell all around me, but not directly on me. And that made me, but it always makes me laugh when I think of it, the thought of Tim Burton, this great film director, crouched behind me holding this little umbrella to keep the rain off.
Well, I would hold an umbrella for you as well, to be perfectly honest, I would.
Oh.
Speaking actually, one of the things we've talked about is you have a great voice, especially for evil characters, and yet for a dark part like Lord Crane, it's completely silent. Now, as an actor, what would you think is more of a challenge? A role that requires a lot of dialogue, or a role where you have to be completely silent and convey your emotions via more visual means?
My God, that's a real good question. I don't know. Both things are equally hard. You need a lot of breath to play Thomas Danforth in The Crucible. You need a lot of things going on in your head, I think, to play Lord Crane when you don't have the dialogue to carry you on. I should tell you that when I was first asked to go and meet Tim Burton for Lord Crane, and my agent said to me, by the way, Peter, there's not. I don't think there's going to be much dialogue, if any. So I said, oh, well, I'm not going to go then. No words. I got a very irate phone call from the casting director that night saying, Peter, what is this I hear about you may not come and see Tim Burton tomorrow? This is Tim Burton. You will be there at 11 o'clock.
Well, did you tell him that he holds umbrellas for you now?
And of course, I'm thrilled that I, was dragooned into doing it, because it was a wonderful thing. But, every job that we do as actors is completely different. It's what makes our lives, for the most part anyway, such fun, because you have to, the different parts demand different disciplines, different, muscles, and you use whatever you can to tell the story, because in the end, that's what it's all about. It's telling stories.
Oh, I love that. That's just awesome. I love that.
Now, being a Doctor Who radio show, Peter, were you a Whovian before you took on Big Finish roles?
I was. I loved Doctor Who as a kid. I mean, I can remember William Hartnell. I watched William Hartnell and Patrick Troughton, whose son David, of course, I've worked with many times at the Royal Shakespeare Company. So Patrick Troughton is probably, I hesitate to say my favourite Doctor Who, but of course he is special to me because he was the Doctor Who that I grew up with. And yeah, I've always been a Who fan, was thrilled when it re-emerged out of the ether, and thrilled that it goes on from strength to strength. Rather regret that I maybe missed out of the chance of having a go myself once upon a time. But there's still a chance for me to turn up in some heavy wig and makeup, and growl a bit on the Doctor Who set with Peter Capaldi, who I think is making a fab job of the latest incarnation.
Being on the show, I would love to see you as the Doctor. That would be absolutely cool.
You tell them, okay?
Stephen Moffat. Moffat, yes. If you're listening. Moffat, if you're listening. Anybody with production, if you're listening, hello.
To be perfectly honest, Peter Guinness becomes the Doctor. Okay, everything's about to get very real, okay? Because I can only imagine the voice coming through where, Clara, you mess things up again. Get in the TARDIS and don't walk out.
See, I would just see the look value of this, because you would be the third Peter. It'd be Peter Davison, Peter Capaldi, Peter Guinness. Third time's the charm.
Third time's the charm.
I think that would sell. We've told Moffat a lot of things on here. Whether he's listening to us or not is another story, but we've always said, hey.
Well, hopefully if he's not listening, then an aide is listening. At least, hopefully somebody who can, throw it up the ladder.
Yeah.
Even if he doesn't get to be the third Peter to be a Doctor, I'm still picturing in my head Peter Capaldi and Peter Guinness just going at each other, and it sounds so glorious.
I know who would win, and it's not eyebrows.
Oh, jeez. Okay. You're already choosing a side.
Of course. It's not a difficult decision.
You were on the show Da Vinci's Demons, where you got to play the infamous Torquemada himself.
That's right. Yeah, that was, again, I don't know why they keep coming my way, these nasty sort of mass murdering embodiments of evil, and I simply don't understand it. But anyway, that was another one, and that was great. I had a very nice wig in that. I went completely blonde. The thing for me about playing Torquemada, what was really wonderful for me was, again, a long time ago, I was in a movie called Christopher Columbus, The Discovery, which was about Columbus's discovery of America. And Torquemada was played by none other than Marlon Brando. So I actually got to share the screen for 5 seconds with the person that I think is probably the greatest screen actor of all time, my hero, Marlon Brando. We sat next to one another in the makeup wagon, and he kept me entertained with lots of funny stories and jokes. He's a very, very funny, or he was a very, very funny man. And I can't wait to see this documentary. Have you heard about this documentary that they got it in? He kept an audio diary for 50 years.
Really?
It's fascinating.
And it's been put into a documentary film. So he's actually going to tell his own story from the grave. I can't wait. It'll be fascinating. But yeah, sorry, a little detour there. He was Torquemada in Christopher Columbus, and I was Torquemada in Da Vinci's Demons. Yeah, great fun.
If I don't mention this particular TV show, or TV film, I should say, our showrunner, Mark Baumgarten, would kill me. You were also in Terry Pratchett's Hogfather. Tell us a little bit about that. Oh, yes.
Well, that was just... I have to admit, I'd not read any of Terry Pratchett's books. I was a complete ignoramus about all this. I knew of them, of course I did. I think my son had read them all, but I didn't know anything about that world. And again, you know, you find yourself at a ripe old age suddenly thrust into a completely new universe, a different world with a different language, with just extraordinary. And again, huge fun. I'm a really lucky guy. You know, I get to be somebody different on quite a regular basis, and that's great. Absolutely terrific. Did you enjoy The Hogfather?
They played it at a SuperCon for what it's. For those of you who in our audience who may not be familiar with The Hogfather, whatever you know about Christmas, Father Christmas, and all that, just throw it out the window right then and there. It's a completely... I got to admit, when I was watching it, I had to kind of absorb it a little bit more. I think, Ed, you were there at SuperCon when they were playing it.
Yes. Trish and I were in the room. We didn't catch the whole thing, but we did catch a lot of it, and it was weird and fun. I mean, that's the best way I can describe it.
The only way I could describe it to people is if David Lynch wrote A Christmas Story. That's the best way I could.
No, I don't even. Well,
and
I don't even think David Lynch would have come up with all the stuff that was in Hogfather. Like, I don't even think his mind would have come up with what we had.
I just had to sit there and absorb it. I mean, it's a very, very complicated story. It has really, really great characterizations, and I just had to get my head around what am I watching most of the time. But it was still something I wanted to keep watching. It was really, really good.
This whole thing seems to be, you know, we've had The Hobbit and Lord of the Rings and the Discworld. It just seems to be the thing that people these days just love to sort of immerse themselves in. These great sort of epic stories and tales and characters. It's fantastic, really, that people love to be told stories, don't they? And fortunately, as actors, we're the ones who get to play out these stories for people to watch and listen to. It's quite humbling in a way to be an actor, I think, when you understand how much enjoyment audiences get. You know, we sit in the dressing room at the interval of Crucible, and we can hear the chatter going on in the auditorium where people haven't left their seats, and you can hear the excitement, and you can hear people arguing about what they've seen and what they're seeing, and it's an extraordinary thing for us actors to know that, you know, we're contributing to something that is actually giving people, you know, food for thought as well as entertaining them. It's a great thing.
Well, Mr. Guinness, my question, seeing that, I did have my turn at stage, and I did have the big dream as a child that, you know, one day I'm going to be an actress and I'm going to do this, but let's face it, I'm far too crazy for that. So I just settled with the normal life, decided that, you know what, I'll let the next person have it because, kidding. However, there is stage acting, and then there's being in a studio. You know, everything's going to be edited, and, you know, you can just be like, oh, I messed up my lines. You know, let's start over. But you can't really afford that when it comes to stage. Now, my question is, which one shows to be the most challenging for you when it comes to either being in a studio or being on stage?
I'm going to give you my honest answer, okay? I'm not trying to be clever.
Okay.
I don't have a favorite. I find them all equally challenging. And usually what happens to me is when I'm on the theatre, I think, oh, please let me get in front of the camera again. When I'm in front of the camera, I think, oh, wouldn't it be nice to have a live audience in front of me again? We're never satisfied. But, and this is the point, I think, that it's all a challenge. It's that they're different challenges, and you use different ways of dealing with whatever it is you're doing. Different muscles are required. But for me, I'm getting on a bit now. It's still as scary as it always was. I still have to sit in my dressing room, which is what I will do when we finish talking to one another, and I will go through the entire script in my head before the show starts. And if I didn't do that, I would be in such a state of nervous tension when I stepped onto the stage. I'm not sure that I will be able to take too many steps in a row. I have to go through the script. When I'm working on film or in television, it's the same sort of terror. I know one can stop and do it again, of course, but you don't want everybody to have to sort of stop while you do it again, while you remember what it is you're supposed to be saying or trying to get it better. It's always you're driving forward to that moment when the director says action or when the lights go up on the stage, and you just want to be there with all guns blazing. And it doesn't get any easier. It gets more fun, I think, but it doesn't get any easier. So,
it really does sound like such a rush.
Your question. Sorry?
It really does sound like such a rush.
Yeah.
It's just, I think that it's one of those things that, you have the butterflies in your tummy, and then you get in there and you do it, and it's not until it's over that you go, wow. That's kind of how I've always imagined it, and it seems to be about right from what you're describing.
Yeah, I can feel from what you're saying, Peter, because I've done a little bit of the acting thing, and I've done it both stage and in front of a camera, and just that rush. I mean, I think the best way I can describe it is I've had days where I got to be on set at 6 a.m. and it's like 12-hour days, but the entire time there's just this adrenaline rush, and then the minute the director yells, cut, print, that's a wrap, all of a sudden it's like having that energy level just dip, like just dive, and it's
I know, that's right.
It's strange.
And of course, it's fantastic because you're, with a bunch of other people who are all doing their thing as well, and very often you don't quite know how you're going to say something or react to something because you don't quite know how the other person that you're playing opposite might be going to feed you. Each night I go on stage here, and it's different. It's probably not that different, but it feels different, and somebody will feed you a line in a slightly different, inflection, a slightly different emphasis, and then you respond to that because, of course, it's all about listening as well. And that's what keeps it alive and dangerous and exciting, I suppose. So as I say that, I can feel my stomach just tightening just a little bit at the thought of what I have to do.
Speaking of that.
In a little while, yeah.
And speaking of something really scary, we're talking about you are in Claire Eden's, and just released just a couple of weeks ago, Claire Eden's Strangeness-in-Space 2 with Sophie Aldridge and Trev and Simon. Tell us.
Simon, yeah. Oh, well, that's great fun. I'm so thrilled that they asked me to be in it. I'd done another little role for Claire in a series called Minister of Chance, and when she moved on to Strangeness-in-Space, I was secretly hoping that she might be able to find something for me. And here I am, Dr. Scarifium. I hope he's going to show up again one of these days.
I hope so, too.
He's a fun villain, I think. A fun scary. Yeah, if you could see us recording Strangeness in Space, it would make you laugh. I mean, a bunch of people, clustered around a microphone, making terrible noises. Why is farting so funny? It just is, isn't it? I mean, however grown up we are and respectable we are, there's something amusing about flatulence. There always is. And of course, this episode
is all about it. Yeah, don't want to spoil too much,
bodily,
but yeah, this is the premise of the second episode. Yeah.
Yeah. And Dr. Scarifium, of course, ought to have the cure, but somehow those three, Simon, Trev, and Sophie. I was about to say it falls on deaf ears, but that's not probably quite the best thing to say, but there we go. There we go. Great fun. Yeah. I hope it's going to be a big success, and it's thrilling to know that you're listening to it over there as well.
It's wonderful to hear the strangeness of space. I had no idea what was coming. And for those of you who may not be familiar, or if you can go on iTunes right now, episodes 1 and 2, and 2 comes with Mr. Peter Guinness, Strangeness of Space, and Peter does play
Dr. Scarithium.
Dr. Scarithium, or the doctor they won't talk about. And you'll understand what we're talking about. But the flatulence thing, yeah, that's the driving thing of the story. You definitely need to hear this to understand what we're talking about. It is great fun. I could tell you had a great time recording this from what when I was hearing from you. I was like, oh my God, they really went there.
Sounds like a very windy episode.
Well, come on, he must have had a good time. Here's Peter and he's tooting his own horn about it.
Oh, I love the punnies. Yes.
Very good.
I mean, everyone's just having a gas just talking about it.
Oh, here we go. More.
And now the show has hit an absolute new low.
Low, yeah.
Yeah, we hit the flatulent part of the episode here.
Peter, what else have you got coming up the pipeline here?
Well, it's odd, isn't it, how life...
I say pipeline, really. I just really well, never mind.
Okay.
I'm putting that away.
Yeah. Well, immediately after The Crucible is over, out of the blue, this has come, as so much of one's work does, I'm going to be recording 2 of the Alien books. The Alien films have been turned into novels that you can buy now, and I've been asked to read for all the audio versions of the books, the first film, Alien, and Alien 3. That I was in. So my homework at the moment, when I arrive home, having burnt the witches of Salem, or hanged them, I should say, is to start doing a bit of homework on Alien and Alien 3. So that it's going to be quite a long haul. They're quite weighty tomes. I think they're about 300 pages each, and lots of action, of course. Different characters, different voices, alien noises. So there you go. So that's me. That's what I shall be up to, and that'll probably take me right up to Halloween. I'll probably still be locked in a studio somewhere when the pumpkins are coming out and the candles are being lit.
Because you've been a bad, bad boy. I know.
Yeah.
And Alien 3. And Alien 3, there's your 6 degrees of separation. You were working with Paul McGann.
With Paul McGann. That's where Paul and I first met.
Oh.
Interestingly enough, if you ever get Paul on your show, you must get him to talk about it. The character that he played in Alien 3 was fascinating. Unfortunately, it didn't, like so much of Fincher's stuff, it didn't sort of arrive in the final cut.
Right.
But the character that Paul played had a very interesting relationship with the alien. There were scenes where Paul's character tried to actually communicate with the alien. It was at quite a psychological level, that film, that I think the producers got a bit nervous about. They wanted more action and chasing about, whereas I think Fincher was interested in the sort of psychology. So we never got to see that, unfortunately. But Paul was that character. He's a lovely actor, an adorable man as well.
Actually, as we speak, we've had him on.
Oh, you have had him on?
We've had him on. I've actually interviewed him at Hurricane Who last year. We're actually going to see him at, or at least here on the Florida coast, we're going to see him at MegaCon. There's a special MegaCon presentation in November, and we're actually going to see Paul down there. And this will be actually my 4th time seeing Paul.
Ah, well, you're old friends then. You know him better than I do.
He recognizes me, let's just say.
Brilliant.
Recognizes you and goes, wait, didn't I have you bumped up to 200 feet?
Something like that. That's what the order says.
You're not supposed to get within 200 feet of me.
You know what's funny? You mentioned, that Paul was trying to communicate with the alien, and it was very psychological. And the only thing that comes to mind is, gosh, only my husband can describe to you what that's like, seeing that I'm just like the aliens in the morning. Prior to my coffee, it's a very psychological bath. Approach with caution.
Very good. I bet you look better than the alien does in the morning.
Oh, no, immediately in the morning, uncanny resemblance. After my coffee, I look like a human. human.
All right, okay.
You're actually gonna be here in November. I think we're gonna have to.
Yeah, so no pictures, no sharing it on the social media. Okay, I'm trying to keep an image. I don't need my actual form revealed. Okay.
Actually, her husband has told me that before she even wakes up, she's spitting out acid throughout the entire.
Okay.
Yeah, we must replace the table now because of that.
Well, it's like I've had bosses like that. I'm used to that.
Yeah.
I still do.
Yeah.
Yeah, see, that's why I can't figure out why nobody has called me yet to go on stage. I mean, I thought acid spitting would be an asset on stage, but then I can also imagine that might be a loss as well.
Well, they have to think of the insurance claims of the front row. You're spitting acid at people, all those dry cleaning bills.
Absolutely, yeah. Like we told you to spit it in this area, not at the crowd.
Nice.
Yeah. A warning would have to go up. Strobe lighting and acids will be spat or something.
This is also why you warn the audience, no flash photography.
That's right, yeah.
See? Put the phones away. See, there you go.
Do not talk to me about mobile phones.
Oof.
Do not talk to me about mobile phones in the theatre. Some nights it is like a symphony going on.
Oh, my God.
Mobile phones are marvelous things. We all know that. But I do fear for mankind that people find it absolutely impossible to turn the wretched things off. Mm. The first half, people are very good because they're asked as they enter the theatre to please turn off your mobile phone. Come the interval, everybody rushes out and checks that the baby hasn't been sick or that the car is still parked across the road or whatever they do on their phones in the interval. And then they come back in having forgotten to switch them off again. So I come on, and the minute I come on to a cacophony of mobile phones. It drives you mad.
Oh my God, that's such a good word too. Cacophony. Like
cacophony.
I remember saying that word as a child without even knowing what it meant. I just felt so sophisticated. I said, Mama, look at the cacophony of cars.
I've actually said a lot of words as a child and didn't know what they meant, and some of those I should never have said as a child.
Well, you know what? As having a Puerto Rican mother, I found out real quick what words were okay and what words were not.
Yeah. Actually, as funny as you mentioned that, Peter, there is actually, I don't know if you've seen it, probably haven't, but there is a video going around on the internet that's viral. Essentially, I think it was a sorority at a baseball game, and they kept flashing the Jumbotron on these girls. All they were doing was looking at their phones. They weren't even watching the game. They were taking pictures of themselves eating hot dogs and everything, and they would keep bringing the Jumbotron over. They showed more of the girls in the actual baseball game that was going on just to see if they would actually react that they're being on the Jumbotron.
It's bizarre, isn't it? It's absolutely bizarre. We've become completely addicted to them. I travel a lot in London where I live on the tops of buses. I love buses. I don't like going underground much, but I love being on the top of a bus. I am the only person on the top of a bus who's actually looking out of a window. Everybody else around me, heads down, iPods or whatever it is they're called, phones, games. The world could be exploding around them and people would be oblivious. It's extraordinary.
One of the things that I like to mention is that, with my friends, and I kind of blow their mind a little bit, and they go, when the zombie apocalypse comes around, we need to be ready. And I said, well, it's already upon us. This is the zombie apocalypse. We just way overshot it.
This is The Walking Dead.
No, for me, I think it's that I do some substitute teaching, and it never fails. There will be somebody who will be on their phone. I will tell them, get off the phone, please. And they will be like, no, just hang on a sec. It's like, no, hang on, off.
Hang up.
Oh, hang up. Yeah.
Hang up. It's like off the phone. It's like off the phone. Whatever it is can wait. It's like, no, I just got to send a message to my mom. I'm sure she realizes you're in the classroom. I think it can wait.
One thing I will ask you, though, is I remember as a teenager doing a couple stage things. One of the roles that I played was Juliet with Romeo and Juliet. I think simply because I had very long hair at the time, and I was the only one that could remember the lines. I had a passion for Shakespeare. So I remember being on stage, and I remember where the point comes out where I'm supposed to be in the garden, and I'm talking, and a phone went off, and I lost it. I lost my lines. It just caught my attention. I went, oh God, now I'm paying attention to that. I mean, does that happen to you? Does it kind of like surprise you and you go, oh God, I need to get back on track? How does that affect you?
It really does affect you. The temptation to stop is enormous. And I know of some actors who will do that. I'm not brave enough. I think if I stopped and glared, I would never remember what I was actually supposed to say. The evening would be over. I go through elaborate sort of little dramas in my head that maybe I should have my phone in my pocket, and if a mobile phone goes off, I could pull my phone out as if to answer it and then, put it back in my pocket and carry on. But of course, if I did that, I would, it would be hopeless. I wouldn't have a clue what I had to say next, and I'd have to rush off stage and find out. But no, it really is upsetting, and it's upsetting when it happens more than once. And it's horrible for the audience as well, who have all carefully turned off their phones, and then somebody hasn't done it to theirs. But there we go. I think I'm going to get Simon and Trev to write an episode of
yeah, that's a thing. Just, the phone rings.
Dr. Scarithium wages war on all those youthful people with mobile phones, and we'll put them all in some terrible furnace and burn them all. Whatever.
No, I see. For me, if I was on stage doing something like The Crucible and I heard a phone go off, I would be very tempted to just stop, glare at the person, and then just in character being like, "And why do you halt these holy proceedings with the ringing of thy bell?"
That's what I should do.
Do not take the seriousness.
Improv.
That's what I should do. Okay, I'll remember that.
It would be hilarious. Somebody needs to catch that on video.
I think we will have no shame in society that one day one of your audience members will come up, walk right on stage on the most climatic moment that you're having, and do a selfie with you. I think that will be the end of civilization as we know it.
As we know it, yeah.
And they'll be texting his friends, "I was on stage with Peter."
Suicide selfie.
Thank you so much, Peter, for your time.
It's been fantastic talking to you, and thank you so much. I've really enjoyed it. I hope you're going to have the most wonderful Halloween.
Peter, have a great day. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
What an honor.
Thank you for being part of our Halloween episode. Have a great day.
Break a leg.
Thank you very much.
And God bless you, sweetheart.
Lots of love.
Thanks.
Take care.
And that was awesome. Peter Guinness, great guy. His voice, I mean, he could, wow. Awesome actor. He could read the phone book and it would come off scary.
Now, it makes me wonder if he's really going to take our advice and just, start, kind of like, oh, you want to answer your phone in the middle of my show? Do you really want to do that? I can't wait. He actually does that or not.
You know what? I honestly, Peter, if you're listening to this, if you do that, can you have somebody record that and send it to us? I think that would make my day.
It's gonna go viral. We'll make sure of it.
It would go viral. Oh yeah. Oh, definitely. Going from viruses to duplication, next week we do have the first of the Zygon two-parter. And, hopefully in part 1, they will answer the mystery of Osgood. Hopefully that will be done very quickly and, we can move on. But great to see the Zygons back. The preview itself, it looks like we're in for a really good episode. I mean, I, for one, can't wait.
Oh, me neither.
Well, we shall let bygones be Zygons.
Yeah. Let Zygons be Zygons instead of your next-door neighbor, or grandma, or your husband, or your wife, or your girlfriend or your boyfriend or the guy who runs the butcher shop on the corner. Yeah. Just let them
Definitely
be Zygons, not somebody else. Seriously. That's just a no-no. Come on, don't fool me like that. So, until next time, you'll listen to us again, where we will cover the Zygon episode. Until then, enjoy Halloween. And for those of you here in the Reno area, there is SnafuCon, where Trish and I will be talking Doctor Who monsters, appropriately enough. And I'll also be doing a panel on anime and the joys of anime before it got really big, when we still had editing and people couldn't die. They just simply went to another dimension. And other fun stuff like that. So until then, remember, don't trust fire-breathing lion aliens.
Got it.
So totally trust them then.
No.
Well, I didn't want to miss out on our special Halloween episode that we do every year. This is, oh wow, how many have we done? We've been on for 3 years. Well, anyway, go to iTunes, listen to old shows, go to marku42.net. and join the Hooniverse Army. We're also available on Stitcher Radio, on TuneIn. We are on Krypton Radio every week, 4 times a week, so you can listen to us there. Tweet us at MarkWho42 and go to our Facebook page, MarkWho42. Well, that's our show for this week, but first, your moment of Zen.
20 million Zygons have been allowed to take human form and are now living amongst us.
Any living thing in this world, including my family and friends, could turn into a Zygon and kill me. It's not paranoia when it's real.
They've kidnapped Osgood and they've stolen the location of every Zygon on Earth. Run away! Doctor, the ceasefire's broken down.
We have a Zygon revolution on our hands.
We've won the first battle.
There will be truth.
And now we are going to begin the war.
Or there will be consequences.
I think you might be right. Maybe I would. The end of the world.
Mark-Who42 has been written and presented by Mark Baumgarten, Patricia Hell, Eduardo M. Fryer, Iggy Matthews, and Christian Basil. This show was edited, produced, and directed by Mark Baumgarten. Please visit mark-who42.net and register to join and be a part of the Hooniverse Army. We can be contacted by email at mark@mark-who42.net with the subject line ? If you have worked on Doctor Who or are working on a project relating to Doctor Who and want to be on our radio show, please email our media relations director, Christian Basil, at mark-who42media@yahoo.com. Doctor Who and its properties are owned by the BBC, the British Broadcasting Corporation. This show is owned and copyrighted by Mark Baumgarten, 2015. You're listening to Krypton Radio.